Now let's talk po about the films po that already produced with your husband po, Director Khavn.
Mm.
I just need to ask this one. Yun nga po, yung sa Ruined Heart, how did it come about? And then you have Christopher Doyle there, you have Tadanobu, Asano. How were you able to have them be part of the film?
Well, first they have to love the film that you show them, as your sample. So we
Mm.
showed them Mondo Manila and they loved it so much, and so they want to collaborate. And so nung nangyari yon, we finalized the deal. We flew to Hong Kong because he was based there at the time
Mm.
to meet, kasi baka hindi pala namin feel yung isa't isa. And yeah, it was a very personal project for them also, because it took them outside of their creative processes. That's not usually how they do things. And ang the thing with artists is that they have a very healthy sense of curiosity.
Mm.
So they take, it's not just money that they take away from the film, so it's, so satisfy yung curiosity nila. They want to see how other people make films.
Mm.
That's the primary thing about this project with them. So when we flew them over, of course yung mga limitations namin ganun pa rin, hindi naman nagbago,
Mm.
hindi tumaas yung budget namin, just because these two are giants that we're working with. And that's the that's the thing with the way we do films. People would call it very punk, yung the way Filipinos do films, because they can, from everything from financing to editing, they can do that in a year, whereas in Hollywood or in other places they would take at least 5 years. So yeah, and others would criticize na, oh, sobrang punk, you skip corners. But I would say that um, it's actually more of the Filipino filmmaker is a miracle worker. Kasi diba, these are your resources. Elitist naman talaga na sining ang filmmaking.
Mm.
So
Mm.
there's that. Do you allow limited resources to keep you back from shooting and from from telling your story, or you work with what you have? And I would go with that perspective, actually, na Filipino filmmakers are very brave, and they're miracle makers, because they get to tell stories at a shoestring budget, na pang pre-prod pa lang ng maraming productions. And at the end of the day, it's a story, di ba? And if it reaches someone, then that's a story well told. And yun nga, it's personal lesson din for me, kasi di ba, sabi ko yung mga platforms, they have that small feel.
Mm.
So yeah, maybe I should also look at them the same way, that no story is too small,
Yep, yep. How about your work with Alexander Kluge po?
Mm.
How did it come about?
He also loves Mondo Manila and Alipato. And and with Alexander Kluge, it's different because he's a filmmaker who doesn't actually shoot. He's philosopher siya eh. So yung filmmaking process niya is more, he it's a bad thing to say, but parang he cannibalizes. So parang okay, Kevin shoots, and then he shoots what his reaction, parang ganun. He needs
Ah,
a film to create a film to, parang
okay.
kailangan niya ng something to respond to. It's
Mm.
interesting, no? Yeah, so that's why their collaboration works, because yeah, kung kay Kevin, it's all about motion, na
Mm.
I will shoot this, I will, and a lot of spontaneity. Si
Mm.
Alexander Kluge naman is very cerebral. So his filmmaking is, una, a response to, para siyang nagsulat ng essay in film form in reaction to what
Mm.
Kevin shot. So
I
oo.
see.
So parang ganun yung relationship nila. And it's worth noting that, kasi philosopher siya from nakalimutan ko anong school, sila ni ah, I can look this up later. Yeah, but para naman talaga sa kanya, mas critical siya of
Mm.
cinema
Mm.
as a medium. Hindi
Okay.
siya gaya lang na filmmaker. I just want to tell my story. It's more critical of the way the story is told. So yun, that's how they end up collaborating. And if there were no pandemic,
Mm.
siguro we would have shot a third film together. But
Wow. After the pandemic.
mm,
Wow, okay. aside po from producing, no, in Desaparecido, I think you were also in charge of the costumes, if that's correct.
Yeah.
So how
Parang,
was it?
oo.
And how
Natawa ko
did
na.
that happen?
Okay naman, natawa ako kasi actually kung titignan mo yung credits lahat, para lahat ng crew ni Kavin multitasks in that way. Kasi nga, you make do with what you have. So, all of us, kung to be truthful, at kung iti-trace mo talaga siya, like, the production designer, acts, as in, kami lahat na yun. so, so yun, which is also what I always liked about
Mm,
producing him, that it never loses the element of play.
okay.
So, naging costume designer ako because I happened to be the only one who was not overloaded. Oo. So, it has that always that element of play na hindi nawawala ba. And you never know what you would like to do until you're actually doing it yourself. So, for example, si Christine Quintana is always in Kevin's film as production manager. But she's a great actress. Tapos yung mga acting credits niya kung
Mm,
titingnan mo, parang she has appeared in enough of his films. Para lahat naman na sabi ko nga sa nitong pinaka-recent na film lang nag-appear si Kevin finally. Parang sumali na siya kasi every one of his crew acts or
I
performs
see.
dual roles.
Okay. Ma'am, tell us naman more about po Kamya's Overground. Um, what are the endeavors po of Kamya's Overground?
Um, sa ngayon,
Mm-mm.
current ba or upcoming? Sa
The
ngayon,
whole
it's
range po.
really supposedly kasi may concert because Kevin also has
Mm-mm.
I don't know what they're called, but he has a agent for his music. So supposedly meron siyang concert, but nagkataon na may pandemic, so
Mm,
hindi natuloy.
affected.
So that's that, yeah. But ang label, he has a German label, Statmark. I don't know. I don't think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay. So yun, kasali yan. That's a Kamiya's
Mm,
Overground production. And he
mm,
also has a concert with the kids. He plays in a band with our children. Supposedly, then they would be touring, but they're not.
mm,
So yun, those are our two productions. And then we also have a play nga, ngayong April sa
mm,
Volksbühne. It's a very big deal in Germany because there's this national theater there,
mm,
and
mm,
supposedly they will be taking this play on the road. It's a major production. Pero ewan kasi dahil nga 'di ba sa lockdowns, I
mm,
mean, it's hard to say because they just canceled Berlin's screenings, and we're supposed to be flying to Berlin as
mm.
well. Pero ngayon parang nothing is set in stone na eh. So we're playing it by ear. I don't know. But yeah, Kami's Overground has, aside from the two performances
Mm,
nila, music performances, we we have an upcoming play ngayong April.
mm,
At saka
mm,
may ipipremiere kami sa Berlin
mm.
na film, ibang film naman. But again, in an age of lockdowns, no, these things are just out of your hands. So,
Okay.
and
So
sana matuloy.
that's what's in store po no for Kamya's Overground. Can you also give us more details naman po about your work
And two
with
film premieres.
and two film premieres. All right. Wow, something to look forward to. Sana talaga mangyari. Ayun.
Sana.
So that's po for Kamya's Overground. Can you also give us more ano naman po details on what you're working now with Rapid Eye?
Uh, Rapid Eye, it really started as a handshake deal. It's still a handshake deal. It sounds so naive, no? But at the same time, so refreshing because in a world na every little thing needs a contract
Mm-mm.
na to protect
Mm-mm. Everything
yourself,
should be in black and
it's,
white.
uh, it's so amazing na to be able to trust people pa rin ba with. To sila Stefan, we've been working with them since 2012. And many people ask, wala na bang ibang producers that you can co-produce with? But sa isang banda, there's no need to look for others because we gel with each other. ano din sila, mag-asawa din sila, Stefan and Antoinette Hall. And the kind of films that they produce is, sabi niya nga, it's an alliance of taste. Kasi pareho talaga kami ng gusto, pareho kami ng aesthetics. And yun, through project markets, ganyan, sinasamahan nila kami. It's not just a business relationship na, or a relationship na they throw you to the shark if a deal
Mm-mm.
goes
Mm-mm.
wrong.
Mm-mm.
So I can honestly say na, in a way, they're family. Because we've made business decisions together. Kasi film is still a business naman din talaga at the end of the
Mm-mm.
day.
Mm-mm.
You have to make decisions that are difficult, and you have to absorb losses also when nothing is selling. In fact, it's been a year of losses for independent people like us, kasi a lot of our revenues come from
Mm-mm.
festivals,
Mm-mm.
halimbawa, and distribution na close talaga siya ngayon. So, yun nga, yung you have to super love what you do, because if you don't, then 'di ba, it's moments like this na walang nangyayari eh. Nabibitaw ka talaga.
How did you survive
Al-
the year po na yun na nga, it suffered from losses?
because right, ito, may mga YouTube guys ako pinapakinggan na diversify, diversify. But we've never been reliant naman din talaga on filmmaking solely, because for us, it wasn't just about the money right from the start. So yun nga, kung if we make money, then great, but if
Mm-mm.
not, we would still keep telling stories. So during the pandemic, wala, we lost a stream of income via the festival screenings, the ticket sales. Pero the others, like we have businesses,
Mm-mm.
tuloy pa rin naman sila. They're not film related.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Something to keep you afloat.
Oo, we have 5 kids, my God. Anong gagawin anong gagawin namin ano kung umaasa kami sa ticket
Mm-mm.
sales?
You work po with Khavn po on many films. How do you think you've impacted po his filmmaking? What's your impact on his films?
Hmm. Um, Offhand, I would say na nagpi-pitch pa kasi din ako sa kanya eh, and it hasn't premiered yet, so hindi siya visible immediately. But often I would say that he's more interested in he's getting more interested in telling female stories, una, because he's a very male story oriented director. So yun. And pangalawa, I forced him to slow down. I mean, it sounds bad, but yeah, I forced him to slow down. Kasi, um, sabi ko nga, naku, ang dami-dami ng, yung conscious, kung may movement na conscious consumption, no, I also think we need to be conscious about the things we put out, because
Mm-mm.
una, may limited energy. Tapos pangalawa, kahit may curation on a personal perspective as an artist, kasi do I really need to tell this story given na 'di ba manggagambala ka na napakaraming tao when they should be resting with their family, and do you have the resource to
Mm-mm.
pull this off? I would say those are two of my impacts sa kanya, yung considering POVs that he normally would not, tapos um yung slowing down. Many people would say, oh, since you joined, ano, nag-historical na siya, but that's not true, because he's already done historical
Mm-mm.
work. They just
Mm-mm.
don't know his filmography.
Right.
And yeah, but I'm amazed na maski anong impact ko sa kanya, he's kept everything, his spirit of being, he's truly courageous as a filmmaker.
Mm-mm.
Masasabi ko to ha. Kasi when we shot the latest, I was always, oh, we don't have money. Kulang sa pera to. Kulang. Because I was coming from a financial perspective na. But again, I forgot that the people who were doing this with us
Mm.
weren't doing it for the money solely. So na-stretch siya, na-amaze nga kami. And wow, kaya pala.
And earlier po, you were saying that that's also what made you stay. It's the love for what you're doing.
Oo, mararamdaman mo eh na ramdam mo eh na he loves his characters and he loves his people. I say his people, it sounds so mapang-aping but yeah, the crew, mabait sa crew, tas, and in fact, we could sit out the pandemic longer, but it's also love for crew that has us going out there because we would like to keep them working as well. Who knows when this pandemic would end, and we could take refuge in our other businesses, but not all of our crew members have that option. So ideally, if we stay working, they can work with us as well. So yun, para it's a community, di ba gaya nga ng filmmaking is a community experience. Staying afloat is also very communal na experience in this pandemic.
Prior
And yun,
to, ay sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
Prior to making films po or joining the film industry po, what were you doing, and would you say that you also have felt that same love for what you were doing before actually going into the world of film making or the film industry?
No. No love. I know I was uh well, I wrote for Sunstar Cebu. This is a newspaper
Mm-mm.
chain. If you're
Yes,
familiar,
yes, yes.
I wrote for Sunstar Cebu. But before film, ano lang, I ran a komplikado eh. But in a nutshell, I was at the top of the hierarchy of this company, and we had a 3D and a 2D animation, so my film connection, but we were producing them for Korean, so I really felt exploited, Charlang. But
I'm on record.
yeah, but ganun, because before film, a job was just a job. It was a way to make money. Yun
Mm-mm.
lang talaga yun. And the path was clear for me to just go up. So every promotion was just a promotion. It was a way to take home more
Mm-mm.
money for my family. But I never felt sa isang banda parang nakakasira ma-in love sa film, kasi you get so invested on the what you're trying to do, diba dapat hindi ganoon, kasi that's bad math. You're not supposed to love what you're doing na ikaw na yung mapapagastos, mag-aabono. Yeah, but before that it was just mechanical, parang chos, ano to, cliche, but nag-iba yung buhay ko nung naging film producer ako. And I realized there is a life na where you can tell stories and still eat.
Mm-mm.
Posible pala. Kasi I grew up in the province, and sa probinsya pag sinabi mong magiging artist ka, and I can't even say that yet to myself na I'm an artist. Kasi parang artist equals wala kang ginagawa, hindi siya trabaho. So, and the parents actively discourage their kids from, oh, wag kang maging artist kasi walang pera, walang trabaho. It's not a legit job. So, being a film producer showed me a different way of living. So, yun talaga.
What then is the future for you po? And then, and Kevin also, in the film industry.
Ah, okay. Sa magandang tanong yan. And there is actually a poem. Oh, I can't find it. Okay, so what I think is the future.
Mm-mm.
But I want to share it to you because it's really beautiful. Okay, can I just send it to you later, the
Sure
poem?
po, sure po.
Feeling ko doon patungo.
Mm.
The point isn't to tell bigger stories, not to compete with Hollywood blockbusters with the Marvel universe. The point is to tell stories na spectacle is easy, yung pera na spectacle. So I think babalik talaga tayo to telling more meaningful stories that don't aspire after Hollywood. I think dun tayo mabubuhay imbes of trying to take down Hollywood or to lift a page from Hollywood. Feeling ko doon lang talaga tayo, because we can't out Hollywood.
Mm-mm.
So because sa isang banda as Filipinos, we're still figuring out our identity and even our stories as Filipinos.
Mm-mm.
Because, diba, Colin, who is the Filipino? What stories do we tell?
Mm-mm.
So tingin ko it's a progress, and we're still figuring it out, kasi pati nga yung telenovela, 'di ba, the stories that we show on TV,
Mm-mm.
like they're still in transition. This is an exciting age of transition, and I know you mentioned that napaka-hopeful.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but excited ako makita how things turn out after the pandemic.
Okay. On that note, ma'am, thank you so much po for your time and for your insights. I hope to talk to you again in the future po. And thank you for your tips din po on how I could learn more about film in itself.
Mm.
So, thank you po and ingat po sila palagi.